So, it's been a while. I know it's been some time, but I think you may love or hate what I am about to report to you. Also, probably the fact that so much, and I mean so much, has happened within the past, 3-4 months? Yeah. Anyway, enough wasting time. Allow me to share the news with you all. I can't believe it. It finally happened. Windows 11 has finally surpassed Windows 10 in terms of the sheer number of users it has. I could imagine this is coming from the fact that Windows 10 is going to lose support soon, and by soon I mean a few months. For those who don't know, Windows 10 is officially set to lose support from Microsoft on October 14th of this year. Yeah, I know, I'm not happy about it either, but it is what it is. If I had to guess, this is probably coming from the fact that, 10 is losing support soon, and with that said, a lot of people, both individuals and entire businesses, are updating their computers to the latest software. And, here we are. If anything, though, above all else, I do think it is a great example of just how stubborn and how resilient Windows users can be when it comes to updating to the latest and greatest. I mean, take into account there are still people out there using Windows 7. Windows 7 came out in 2009. Just let that sink in. This software is approaching up on 20 years, and it's still being used by millions of people. I mean, if that doesn't say anything, I don't know what does. On a side note, if you are just desperate to keep Windows 10 going strong on your computer after the day it loses support, Microsoft will soon give you the option to pay $30 a year in order to retain and still receive important updates. And I don't know about you guys, but $30 a year does not sound too bad in my opinion, but that's just me. To each his own. Another thing that I saw that happened is that for once, Apple actually lost. Apple actually lost a court case. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, I am talking about none other than Apple versus Epic Games. This court case stems from many years ago when Epic Games was removed from the App Store. Epic Games making an entire video retaliating on the fact that they don't like how Apple handles their in-app purchase system. To sum up how this whole thing works, Apple basically takes 30% of an app developer's revenue. And let's just say Epic Games didn't like that too much. So to avoid and work around this problem, Epic Games ended up implementing their own direct payment system inside Fortnite. This is how they were able to avoid their little problem with Apple and paying that 30%. And Apple didn't like that either, which resulted in Fortnite being removed from the App Store entirely in 2020. And here we are, nearly 5 years later, with Apple actually coming out not the victor. They ended up losing the case. Epic Games actually came out the victor. That's kind of hell of impressive, not gonna lie. Props to them. Apple is now also no longer allowed to restrict developers from placing links to make purchases outside of an app. Overall, pretty wild stuff, but at the end of the day, I'm glad this happened. Now developers can have a lot more money sitting in their pockets. And maybe Apple can be one step closer to not being so greedy. Who am I kidding? That's never gonna happen. And finally, for something a little more recent, another data breach has happened. God, there's been so many data breaches, it's crazy. But this one in particular is kind of interesting. So, ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you the app known as T. It is an app where women can basically drop information about certain men, the experiences they've had with them, and just overall gossip in general. So, to ensure that this app would be a true women's only space, the app required you to drop some form of identification, and some people just dropped selfies of themselves, while other people ended up dropping their full-on driver's license. I meant to say driver's license. Anyway, turns out all that information that women were dropping, not only about themselves, but about other people, weren't exactly secure and encrypted. As a result, someone was easily able to hack into their files and systems and basically dox everyone. Yep, everyone on that app has been exposed. Literally, someone was able to find basically the public bucket that they use to store all that information and all those images. And, well, yeah, now they can be accessed by pretty much anyone. And as a result, over 70,000 pictures were found of people who signed up to this app. And it turns out that one of these users was even part of the US Department of Defense. Kind of wild. Some people even went as far as to drop their geo information, basically where they live. Someone created a map online to represent everyone and where these users live, and let's just say it looks horrible. It looks so bad. I mean, my God, just look at it. It's everywhere. They are everywhere. Even on the 2 other states that aren't here, they're everywhere. Okay, not everywhere, but you know what I mean. At the time I'm recording this, nothing legal-wise seems to have happened, so yeah. Either way, this is pretty wild stuff, and I'm actually interested to see in where this goes. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes this report. Despite my return to making videos, this was also just a friendly reminder that, well, I exist. I am still alive. Anyway, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have a good day or night, depending on what time it is. And with that being said, until the next report, I will see all you beautiful people next time.